Even with the varying quality of DC comic book movies, the caliber of actors who sign on to DC films, including Oscar winners like Jared Leto, Ben Affleck and Will Smith, suggest that the brands still have incredible sway among actors. We've seen major Hollywood players and theatrical veterans drop into the Nolan universe for sole cameos, because there aren't always enough top draw roles to go around, and you'll be surprised to know just how many big names have slummed it in the background and in minor roles on DC's slate. I'm Rich from Whatculture, and here are 10 actors you totally forgot were in DC comic book movies. Number 10. Jon Favreau, Batman Forever. Long before he was playing Robert Downey Jr.'s bodyguard and friend Happy Hogan in the Iron Man movies, as well as directing them of course, a mostly pre-fame Jon Favreau turned up doing basically the same job for Bruce Wayne. Having played minor parts in Rudy and Seinfeld, but before he made his big break in Swingers, the future Disney director appeared in the background of Batman Forever, accompanying Val Kilmer's Wayne on his workplace inspection rounds. Blink, and you'll probably miss him even now. Number 9. Jack Gleeson, Batman Begins. It might sound questionable, but Jack Gleeson didn't actually arrive on this earth fully formed as the bile-spitting brat king of Westeros. He had a career before that, starring in the likes of Reign of Fire, Shrooms, and A Shine of Rainbows. Clearly none of them were important as his minor role in Batman Begins. The boy who would play Joffrey played a young boy living in the Narrows who meets both Batman and Rachel separately. Given how different he is to his Game of Thrones appearance, it's shocking to see him in Gotham now when you watch it back. Number 8. Drew Barrymore, Batman Forever. Batman Forever is generally remembered as one of the low points in the Batman franchise, thanks to Joel Schumacher's disregard for the darker spirit that made Tim Burton's movies so good. It's also remembered for 2 larger-than-life character performances by Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones as the Riddler and Two-Face respectively. What tends to be less well remembered is that one Drew Barrymore also appears in a dramatically reduced role as henchwoman Sugar, one half of the sister duo Sugar and Spice. They work for Two-Face and seem to somehow get away with wearing lingerie in a kids movie. It's a thankless role, which is perhaps why it's so easy to forget about. Number 7. Jim Broadbent, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. He might be more known now for flamboyant or emotionally devastating roles, but back in the late 80s, British legend Jim Broadbent clearly needed to pay the bills and took a throwaway job as Dubois, a nuclear warhead dealer in the worst Superman movie ever. Decked out in a slick suit and with his hair cropped, the future Horace Slughorn would have been largely unremarkable at the time, but looking back it's hard not to judge him a tiny bit for signing on to the travesty. Mercifully, his career got much better. Number 6. Kal Penn, Superman Returns. Back in 2006, Kal Penn had already been in Van Wilder and the first Harold and Kumar film, and he should have been enjoying the fruits of his rising comedic profile. Unfortunately, he also appeared in Son of the Mask, which might explain why the only role he could get in Superman Returns was as silent Lex Luthor henchman Stanford, who mostly just stands around in the background. It's almost like he's just wandered onto set, since the role didn't channel any of his comic experience or his quick-witted sharp tongue. In an already boring film, his forgettable role is nothing more than white noise. Number 5. Paul Reubens, Batman Returns. Back before he was making Batman a viable enough financial brand for Warner Brothers to unceremoniously kick him off the job to sell more toys, Tim Burton was making his name as a filmmaker with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, drawing the attention of Warner Brothers in the process. Later, to pay homage to his roots, he cast Paul Reubens, otherwise known as Pee-wee Herman, to play Tucker Cobblepot's father of the Penguin in a short flashback sequence. Without his iconic look, he's almost unrecognizable. Number 4. Jon Cryer, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. You'd think that nobody had ever learned from the fact that Scrappy-Doo was the most annoying and ruinous part of Scooby-Doo when he debuted at the end of the 70s. That should have completely killed off the idea of having annoying family member sidekicks, but no. Superman 4 ignored all that and brought in a sidekick for Lex Luthor, nephew Lenny, who was played by future 2.5 Men star Jon Cryer, just a year after his definitive role as Ducky in Pretty in Pink. He's pretty much as forgettable in it as every other silly little detail, even though watching him back, you have to wonder how he continued to enjoy a career. Number 3. Jesse Ventura, Batman and Robin. Though he doesn't get so much as his own name, former WWE star and modern political firebrand Jesse Ventura's face is instantly recognizable in Batman and Robin, provided you don't blink and miss the scene he's in. The former senator of Minnesota hadn't appeared in a film for 3 years after Major League 2, but came out of acting exile to play one of the guards in Arkham Asylum, who is overpowered by Poison Ivy's sexy spores when she busts out Mr. Freeze. It's not really a high point in his career, but it amounts to a nice little cameo. Number 2. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Jonah Hex. Obviously, Jeffrey Dean Morgan has appeared in a few other DC movies in his career so far: Watchmen, The Losers, and Batman v Superman, but a year after he made a name for himself with his excellent portrayal of the comedian for Zack Snyder, he made the odd decision to sign on to Jonah Hex for an uncredited cameo. Given the cast, you could probably forgive the decision, but it's still odd to see an actor of his profile now being dug up and questioned on the location of his father before shuffling back off into eternity. He doesn't even look decomposed. And number 1, Clancy Brown, Green Lantern. Green Lantern includes so many completely CGI characters that it should come as no surprise that there are a significant number of good actors involved in bringing their voices to life. There's Jeffrey Rush as Romar Ree, Tamura Morrison as Abin Sur, and of course Michael Clarke Duncan as Kilowog. Less noticed, thanks in part to how the character's portrayal was utterly ripped to shreds, that's what happens when you turn your iconic villain into an evil fart cloud, is the fact that Clancy Brown, Shawshank Redemption's Byron Hadley, voiced Parallax. Good casting, bad character. And that's our list. Any more actors we didn't notice in DC movies? Let us know in the comments section below. News, lists, and articles await over on Whatculture.com, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. I'm Rich from Whatculture, and I'll see you soon.